And so you begin to readjust yourself. It's a culture change.
Instead of seeing queues as a waste of time, see it as a way to better manage time. It is also a way to ensure fairness and equity. The next time you feel the urge to jump a queue, don't. Instead, remember some of these guidelines. Make up your mind if you will join the queue or not. Once you have joined the queue, stay in your line. You may decide to ask what the waiting time is before you join the queue. Some organizations will provide this service. Try to stay in lane, only reserve by using someone you know. Never say you were behind someone in a queue. Wait for someone to be behind you before you leave the queue if you must. Respect other people's space while on the queue. Watch your conversation on the phone, keep it confidential. Watch your personal belongings. Try not to leave shopping bags on the floor. Acknowledge the number of bags you're carrying. If you forgot something, unless it is close by, you will run the risk of losing your place once you leave the queue. Exercise huge amounts of patience, even when the queue appears endless. If you're holding a place for someone, explain to others around you to avoid conflict. Sometimes, the queue may be a telephone inquiry. You may have the option of calling back or leaving a message to be called back. If someone appears like they're jumping the queue, politely correct them without getting into a squabble. Always wait your turn if the queue is automated. Sometimes you may need to wait to be beckoned, served, or for the green light before proceeding. Follow the rules and move orderly. Being online has become a part of our every waking moment. From the moment we wake up in the morning till we hit the pillow at night, we are browsing, scrolling through social media, responding to messages. We live our lives online almost as much as we live it in reality. These anonymous interactions, like any other human interaction, comes with complexity and challenges. People get into civil discussions, debates, banter, and share with one another. With these interactions come disagreements, arguments, conflicts that can soon degenerate into trolling, bullying, and general unpleasantness. The discretion we employ in face-to-face interaction is further decreased online. In fact, according to psychologist Robert Sutton, disrespectful, demeaning, and downright mean-spirited behavior is worse than ever. This behavior is especially true of online discourse, which researchers describe as the online disinhibition effect. Stanford psychology professor John Sula in 2004 said, "The online disinhibition effect can cause people to act out in either a benign manner, wherein they overshare their personal information, or in a toxic manner, wherein they become abusive or threatening." "I am in my house, come and beat me," is a common saying online that alludes to the inaccessibility that emboldens even regular people to behave in less than civil ways online. Another factor responsible for this behavior, apart from anonymity and availability, is solipsistic introduction, a situation, according to Dr. Sula, where you don't have any physical cues associated with the person you're communicating with, and other person becomes just a voice in your head. As such, the people in your online conversations merely become characters in your imagination, formed by your own personal history and expectations. You might also hear his or her voice as your own, which makes you feel more comfortable with the other person and further lowers your inhibitions. As we have rules that guide our interactions in real life, unspoken rules need to be developed for our online interactions. Social media etiquette, or social mannerism simply put, means do's and don'ts for social media interactions. These etiquettes are also referred to as netiquettes. The term netiquette refers to all aspects of online communication, including email, instant messaging, social media, multiplayer gaming, and other forms of online communication. The main goal behind etiquette or mannerisms on social media is to treat others with respect and take care of intellectual property rights and associated implications. Personal information, images, or videos of anyone should not be shared without consent or mentioning credits where due. Except we seek to change such behaviors, it will pervade. Here are some social media netiquettes. When sending a DM, be polite and go straight to the point. When responding to posts, even if you disagree, be careful not to use condescending and insultive words. Take a 5-minute pause before you post any comments. Don't comment on topics that people tend to be passionate about. Don't respond to insults or hateful language. Don't say to people online what you won't have the audacity to say to them in person. Avoid excessive tagging of people. Ask before tagging people. Although it may seem inoffensive, tagging a friend or acquaintance on social media without their permission could in many ways cause problems for that person. Good social media etiquette means you should always request for permission before tagging anyone. Post only flattering pictures of other people. Apply the billboard test. Assume that everyone in the world can and will see everything you post. So if it's not billboard worthy, don't post it. Give credit where it's due. Don't post other people's photos or quotes without clear attribution. This means no screen grabs even if you have the best intentions. Instead, use a repost app to properly credit others for your own content. Think of the future you. Your taste will change as will your sense of humor, but your photos will live on forever. Use caution when posting. Don't take screenshots of other people's private moments that they shared with you in confidence. Censor yourself. You might treat your Facebook or Twitter accounts as diaries. Don't share everything with your readers. Some things are meant to be kept private. Who has the right of way? Niger?
Very good morning to you, and thanks for joining us on The Breakfast. My name is Nyamgul Agaji. On the show this morning, we'll be looking at fuel scarcity in Nigeria, rising costs and widespread public frustration. And also, the UN suggests 15% budget allocation to bridge Nigeria's gender gap. Those will be our hot topics. Of course, we'll be going to the press to see what made it to the front pages of our national dailies, and then we'll have top trending issues. But for now, let's take a break and then take the quote of the day. The quote for today is from Benjamin Franklin, and he says, "The best investment is in the tools of one's own trade. The best investment is in the tools of one's own trade." Okay, those are very wise words. It simply means always try to improve yourself, because the first tool of your trade is your brain, how you relate with the work, how you try to improve yourself to know better about what you're doing, and then the actual tools that you use for the job. And in this, at this time, I'd like to also just say that sometimes when you are plying your trade, you don't have to wait for anybody else to come give you what you need for that trade, because it is, at the end of the day, the benefits come to you and not to the person who, maybe sometimes you are an employee, the person who employs you, and you're waiting all the time for the person to come forward and do what he's supposed to do. If you go into an office and then something is lacking and you can provide that thing, go ahead and do it, so that your work will be effective and you don't have to be very frustrated in what you're doing. But the major thing is improve yourself and improve all the things that aid you in doing whatever you do in this life. So if you have a trade, whatever kind of trade that you're applying, I'm not saying that when I talk about trade, it doesn't mean that you have to sell granite and pepper in the market. You could be a broadcaster like I am, you could be a teacher, you could be anything else. But so whatever you're doing, make sure you improve on yourself and all the things that help you in carrying out your duty diligently. That is the quote for today. The best investment is in the tools of one's own trade. Words by Benjamin Franklin. We'll go straight away to the top trending issues this morning. The co-chair of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Bill Gates, has said that tax collection in Nigeria is low. Gates spoke at the NutriVision 2024, a Pan-African youth dialogue on nutrition in Nigeria's capital city, Abuja. Gates, while answering a question on financing mechanisms the federal government of Nigeria could adopt for funding large-scale public health interventions, said low tax collection poses challenges to financing critical sectors like health and education. He also said Nigeria has the prospect of becoming a net exporter of food given the vast land and soil type in the country. The billionaire philanthropist said in agriculture, Nigeria today is a net food importer given the geography. If the right credit facilities and advice to farmers, soil surveys, and other things are available, there is the opportunity for Nigeria to be more than double, or to more than double its food output, which would be pretty transformative, because it would mean that Nigeria would be a net food exporter instead of having to use very scarce dollars, particularly at the current exchange rate, to go buy food that we're bringing in the dollars. The billionaire further suggested that by leveraging digital technologies and adopting improved seed varieties, Nigeria could trigger an agricultural miracle that would boost the economy and address equity and nutrition challenges across the country. Okay, Bill Gates has advised us, and maybe our politicians will listen to him. You know, he's white, because sometimes we feel that it has to come from someone else and not us, even though we know what we're supposed to do. I'm not sure Bill Gates has said anything new that our politicians, our leaders do not know. They know these things, but maybe having come from the mouth of someone they might respect, someone that they think is big enough to talk to them, maybe they will just implement these things. And I do not want to believe that he meant, when he said Nigeria is not collecting enough tax, that he meant that the tax should go higher. But I think it should be that the way and manner the tax is being collected is not good enough for the money to get to the coffers of the government, for them to be able to do what they need to do. So the government should step up its game in tax collection, so that all the money that is collected as tax should go into the coffers of the government, whether it's federal or state or local government coffers that the money should go. It should actually go there. And then people who are supposed to be paying tax or are supposedly paying tax should be paying it to a channel or through a channel that will be transparent enough so that everybody will have a win-win situation. The payer of the tax will be satisfied that the tax is being used for something great and the tax is getting to where it should get to. And the receiver of the tax will know that all the money that is supposed to come to it or that body is coming to it. So let's just keep our fingers crossed and think and hope that the channels of collecting this tax will be improved upon, and we will leverage technology and see what we can do. It's not that we have to raise our taxes, it's that we have to approach collection of taxes in a different way so that we see how much money or how much more we can make out of taxes and fund the very, very essential things that we need: education, health, and all other things that we need to finance as soon as possible to make the life of every Nigerian worthwhile. The second top trending is dealing with a petition by NHRC. Members of the Islamic movement in Nigeria, also known as Shiites, have petitioned the National Human Rights Commission, NHRC, the United Nations, UN, the European Union, EU, and Amnesty International, AI, over alleged blasphemy by the Nigerian police force. The petition filed by Fatima Aliyu Adam on behalf of the Academic Forum of the Islamic Movement in Nigeria accuses the police of forcefully removing the hijabs of Muslim women detained during the recent Abuja Arbaeen symbolic trek. The petition specifically targets Inspector General of Police IGP Kayode Egbetokum and FCT Commissioner of Police Bernard Igwe, alleging blasphemy against Islam. The Shiite claimed the police actions violated the constitutional rights of Muslim women and the Supreme Court ruling in Lagos State Government versus Asiyat Abdul Karim of 2022, which upheld the right to wear hijab. They demanded forensic investigation into the forceful removal of Muslim women's hijabs by the FCT police to identify the perpetrators of this taboo. Above all, the Shiites urged the NHRC, UN, EU, and Amnesty International to intervene and ensure justice for the affected Muslim women. I really don't know what to comment on that. It's a religious thing, and I don't know. But when investigation is done and we find out that the women, the hijabs that they have claimed that were removed from them, if it has a provision in our constitution which gives the right to the police in certain circumstances to do what they did, then let's know that that is the case. But if it was just because the police did it because they could do it, then they should answer for it, whether it is blasphemous or not. You may not be wearing a hijab, but you are asked to derobe or remove your clothes in a manner that should not be the case, and then you remove your clothes. Sometimes they have you well beaten and all that. There are things, there are laws that guide even the police force, what they need to do in certain circumstances. So let the investigation be done. If they were within their own rights to do what they did, then they cannot answer to any case. But if they were not right to do that, it's not even because it is a religious thing. It's not even because it's blasphemous as they are putting it, but the rights of a Nigerian to wear whatever they're going to wear in whatever circumstances should also be brought to play. But if the Nigerian police is right, then there's nothing we can do about it. We cannot just be whipping sentiments all the time and hide under religion. But if the Nigerian police is wrong, then let them answer for it, because it's high time that people started facing consequences for doing anyhow they like. It shouldn't happen in a democracy like Nigeria's. That is what I can say about that. So I'm not delving into religion. I'm talking about the rights of the citizens. But let me give you an instance where the police may have that kind of right. Sometimes when there is a fear of bombing, we've seen some countries that are Muslim countries that are talking about hijab being of a particular length so that the body can be exposed enough. I'm using that advisedly, exposed enough for the law or the security personnel to know whether you're carrying a bomb or not, because of things that have happened. Even Muslim countries, not just like Nigeria. So if it is a case like that of suspicion and all that, and they had to do what they had to do, well, I don't know. But let investigation be done. Policemen cannot just act because they have the guns, because they are backed by the authority and all that. They should act within the ambit of the law. So whether it's a religious person or not a religious person, whether it is a Christian or Muslim or a traditional religion adherent, we should not act anyhow unless the law permits us in that particular circumstances to do what we had to do. I'm talking about the law, the policemen and everybody. So let consequences come for bad behavior. If this time it is the police that is guilty, let them answer. If it is those people that were guilty and the circumstances permitted the police, then we should back the police and to say, hey, whoever is saying this is blasphemous is not blasphemous, because Nigeria is not a religious country. Nigeria is a civil country, is an ordinary country, let me say that. Religion is secondary to the laws of the land. So let's do our best to have this balance and find out who is guilty and let the person face the consequences, whether it's the police or the people who were arrested. Now, the Citizens for Democratic Dividends in Nigeria on Wednesday faulted the claims by the Nigeria Labour Congress that the federal government betrayed its trust by increasing the price of fuel despite the agreement over the new minimum wage of 70,000 naira, which was way below the initial proposal of the organized labor. The group, in a statement signed by its executive director, Ahmed Idris, noted that the NLC betrayed Nigerians first by accepting the minimum wage of 70,000 naira while turning a blind eye to the sufferings of millions of Nigerians. The group noted that the Joe Ajaero-led NLC also refused to participate in the End Bad Governance protests, which took place nationwide. Ajaero, in a statement, accused President Bola Tinubu of betraying the union following the recent hike in fuel prices. The Congress accused the government of reneging on its promises and implementing ferocious right-wing market policies that have brought Nigerians to their all-time low. I don't know what this group intends to achieve by just saying that the NLC don't deserve the right to say that they have been betrayed by the government. I don't know what they intend to achieve with that. Well, NSC may have accepted 70,000 naira, which a lot of experts have said is more realistic than the 1 million naira or 650 or 350 that they were proposing. Because, hey, imagine your house help having to be paid 350,000 naira every month. There are so many people that are having house helps, not because they are financially comfortable, but because it's between the devil and the deep blue sea, or the alternative cost that you can have. You have a more pressing thing than the little amount that you have to cough out to be able to satisfy the other need that you need to do. There is no job security in Nigeria. There is no assurance that you have a sick child and then your boss will understand. There are so many things that employers of labor do nowadays that you think whether they have a heart or not. So people, in order to keep the job and keep family together, I'm not standing in for them, but these are some peculiar situations that we find ourselves. People tend to have these house helps so that they can satisfy a need that is also bringing food to their table. And so if you have to ask these people to pay 350,000, granted, these same people will be earning that much where they are working. But I tell you, if they had said 350,000 naira, for instance, for the minimum wage, there are offices that would have paid just that amount and said, hey, we're not going beyond minimum wage. We're just paying this amount because that's what we can afford. And then you have a house help back home who is collecting the same amount with you and all that. I don't know if I'm making sense, but 70,000 naira may not be good enough, but it was more realistic. But again, having accepted 70,000 naira, everybody was expecting the government to bring out policies that will enable these people spend the 70,000 naira in peace. Now, 2 days ago, the people going to work, let's say from, I usually use Bega to the island, from Bega to, that is Ojodu Bega to the island, you could pay like 1,000 naira to get to the island 2 days ago in the morning. In the evening, it was 2,500 naira. So people that went to work and budgeted 2,000 naira to go and come back to Ojodu Bega may be stranded at work because they could not get back to where they were going to, because in the morning, the price was way lower than it was in the evening, just because of what the NNPCL did. NNPCL is raising its price for crude, for petrol, and they're telling us, federal government is denying it. The NNPC spokesperson or director for media or communication or something was saying that he didn't know there was any hike in price. Yet their filling stations are selling at a particular pump price, which is almost 900 naira. That means the private individuals who are selling this fuel will be selling from 1,000 naira and above. How do you expect people to cope? So if NLC cries out that we've been betrayed, they are within their rights. And if this group is also crying that NLC shouldn't have, well, we understand with them, but I'm not sure that this statement makes any difference, or this statement is for good. Because you can't say because you did this, you have to suffer it, even though you realize that what you did was wrong because of what the result has been. And then you're just, I don't think there's anything to gain from any group coming out to fight anybody who is saying that the situation in the country is terrible. But again, well, I don't know, maybe there's a backstory that we do not know about. Otherwise, anybody who is crying is right in crying. Nigeria is not smiling, as we say it on the street. Nigeria is not smiling at all. Nobody is free from whatever is happening, no matter how rich you are. You can be comfortable having food, having everything at your disposal, but you do not have security, because you know that when you go home, the amount of people who are hungry may just waylay you, and a lot of things could happen. So you're free, financially free, but you're not physically free. And that means all of us are suffering the same fate. Government should sit up and do something for Nigerians. But that's it for Top Trending. We'll take a break, and when we return, we'll be looking at the papers. Stay with us.
Welcome to Bayes University, Abuja, Nigeria, with a legacy of excellence and a vision for nurturing future leaders. Bayes University is in a league of its own. We're all about our people, processes, and technology.
Bayes is one of the highly rated universities in Nigeria in terms of product quality standards.
We don't just produce graduates, but groom people into employers of labor.
And it has made us understand that learning is all about three things. We learn, we unlearn, and we relearn.
Bayes University Hospital offers a range of specialized services equipped with the latest technology, manned by a team of trusted professionals. And now, our vision extends beyond our walls with the Baba Ahmed University in Kano following our lead. Join us at Bayes University and invest in your future today.
Bayes University is the institution that you will get the best value for money education in Nigeria.
Bayes University. Learn to live.
Thanks for staying with us. It's time now to go to the papers and see what the headlines are. And to help us discuss those headlines is Mr. Nick Agule, Public Affairs Analyst. Good morning and good morning and welcome from Nigeria. Good morning and welcome, and good evening to you where you are.
Yes, good evening. Here in Langley, in British Columbia, is just 11:30 something p.m. now.
Oh, okay. So while we are awake, you are preparing to go to bed, and at least at least we have something that we are ahead of the Western countries. Our time, we entered the new year before the Western countries. They try to now. God made it that way.
Yes, we have to try to do something with that new year we enter first.
Yes.
We have to unlock value from it.
Yeah. Okay, today let's begin with the Daily Independent. The headline here is saying NEC revs up process, or that is creation of state police. NEC revs up process gives 4 states September 9 to submit report. To adopt, those are the riders, to adopt comprehensive report on Monday. Federal government releases 3 billion naira to states affected by flooding, and Bill Gates to inject $2.8 billion in Nigeria's healthcare agri sectors. Okay, so your comment on that. Next revs of process gives 4 states September 9 to submit a report on creation of state police.
Yeah, absolutely. Creation of state police has become an imperative. It's very important. We understand the risk that exists that governors can hijack the state police and use them for illegal activities, just the same way they have hijacked their to sweep local government elections to the ruling party. But there has to be something before, if it generates issues, it can be resolved. So like here in Canada that I'm speaking to you from, it is cities that have their police. So Vancouver has a police force. It's not even a state or provinces. So there are police forces at different levels. So university campuses have their police. The trains have their police, the transport police. There are police at city level, at county level, provincial level, and then there is national police. So if we have this mass of police all around the country, Nigeria will become a lot more secured than what it is today now. And we have always made this point. I especially make this point that the concept of policing is pretty much local. It's very difficult to have a national police only for the country. And, it's like putting all our eggs in one basket. So if the Inspector General is not effective, that means the entire policing in Nigeria is not effective. But if policing is devolved to the state, we'll have 36 heads of police. And if it's 20 of them that are effective, that will be better than what we get if one IG is ineffective. Giving money to the states for flooding, again, this is reactive. The question is that what is causing this flooding? Why is it that every year we experience flooding? Government needs to begin to take proactive action to stop the flooding, to prevent the flooding. Because the flooding comes, it washes away people's properties. Sometimes it takes people along with them. People lose lives. So what will 3 billion naira do now? But if we're proactive and we stop the flooding, meaning we have erosion control, rivers are dredged, we're ready for flooding. And when it comes, it doesn't impact negatively on us. That would be better. And then talking about Bill Gates, $2.8 billion. That's a lot of money. But Bill Gates has such money. He's a billionaire, so we know he has such money. My only advice to him is that when the $2.8 billion come, and he's actually targeting very critical sectors, agriculture, which is the mainstay of Nigeria's economy that has been ignored for so long. If he activates that, it's going to create jobs, to assure food security, and then it will reduce our import dependence for agricultural raw materials and produce and products. And it will help with post-harvest losses and all of that. And healthcare is also another area we're really very backward. So my advice to Bill Gates is that he should never put that money through the government bureaucracy. If he ever dare puts that money in the government bureaucracy, that money is gone. So he has to find collaborators on ground, that have been tested and tried over time to execute projects of such magnitude. And he should work with them. He should work with those local partners and just give government distance, real distance. Otherwise, his $2.8 billion will end up in some account in Dubai or in some Malta or somewhere around the world.
Well, before that pledge was made, I don't know, he was talking with the government. He was even at the National Economic Council meeting that was presided over by the Vice President. He was there with Aliko Dangote and made presentation. So already, I think the government has its feet to the ground. Maybe that money will come to them. Maybe what we'll be looking at is just making sure that he puts a mechanism on ground that will monitor how his money is being spent. But let's go back to the issue of state police. My worry, a little bit of worry, is that all of us were talking about state police. Some were for, some were against, so it was a to be or not to be thing. I didn't know it got to a stage where states were even giving inputs for this state police creation, and the amount of involvement of the ordinary people as to how this thing should work doesn't seem to be so prominent, because we just know now that the states have been given till September 9 or so to bring their final input to the formation of state police. I'm thinking, I don't know whether that happened, but I'm thinking that the people of Nigeria were not consulted enough to know what they really want and how they want it when it comes to state police and policing in our country. Because it's like, okay, so this thing we're saying, maybe it can happen or maybe it cannot happen. It is really happening, and we don't know anything that has been put down by the states and given to the federal government. Does it not concern you?
It's quite concerning. But before I even respond to the state police, let me just talk about the Bill Gates one. Yes, indeed, he has come and he has been liaising with government at various levels. I think it's the right thing to do. If you are bringing such quantum of money into an economy, you need to get the government support on your side. So that's fine. But there can be no mechanism, I will assure him, if this interview that we are doing, if this program gets to him, I will advise him that there is no mechanism that he's going to deploy, that these government officials are going to deal with his money honestly. These people have hooked themselves, they are professionals in the act of taking money from government coffers into their personal coffers. There's really nothing that he's going to do, absolutely nothing. If he likes, he can try it. And when his fingers are burnt, he will come back and say, oh, whoa, he should have listened to the advice of Plus TV Africa that were given to him. Nigerian officials have institutionalized taking money from the public treasury into their private pockets. It's an industry. They have all sorts of qualifications. They know how to do it. And they can do it. I mean, Bill Gates should have seen that palliatives during COVID, palliatives that were put together by the private sector, which they mistakenly now put in care of the government, either ended up in the markets or in warehouses all over the country. They didn't go to the people who needed them. I think with that, I have done QED of the position. So it is left for him. Let him do whatever he wants to do with his money. But my advice is that if he really wants this money to get to the ground, he should work with local partners who have been tested and trusted in the past. Now, coming to state police, I agree with you, because for me, I also knew that there was some noise that were being made about state police at some point. Then everything went quiet, you know. So if the states were then given the mandate to come back to the federal with what their idea of state policing should be, one would have expected the states to now engage the people to say, okay, state police is coming. What input do you guys have? And also, if I think about this thing, I think that state police can happen only if there's a constitutional change. Because the Constitution of Nigeria right now, as we speak, recognizes only the Nigerian police force, recognizes an Inspector General of Police, and puts forth how he can be appointed and his confirmation at the Senate and all of that. So how can state police now be created without a constitutional change? And constitutional change will usually come with public hearings and all of that. So I don't actually know what process now is being followed, whether it is when these governors bring their inputs, then the federal is going to consolidate them, articulate this, and then put a bill to the National Assembly for the creation of state police. Perhaps that is what they want to do. And then at the point of the bill going through the National Assembly, is where public hearing will happen and all of that. But I will also say that it mustn't be compulsory. I don't think it should be made compulsory. States that want to have police should be allowed to have police. States that don't want to have state police should also be left alone. They want to watch and see what will happen before they come on the bandwagon. So it mustn't be something that all states must key in at the same time. That's the way I also look at it.
Okay. Another one here, still on the Daily Independent. Petrol price hike will affect Nigerians' real sector. That's according to Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. On the same page, we have petrol pump price increase, a recipe for crisis, PDP warns. The riders are, Tinubu didn't promise not to raise petrol price. That's according to the presidency. Says increase in petrol price became unavoidable. NLC insists president promised not to hike PMS price. Order NNPCL to reverse itself, Afenifere tells Tinubu. All those ones are about fuel pump price. There was rumor that the federal government had asked the NNPCL to raise pump price to maybe 1,000 naira or so. Federal government came out to deny that. And then the NNPCL started, or there was another rumor because a letter was on the social media that the NNPCL had directed their filling stations, their outlets, to be selling fuel at a particular price, which is so high from the previous price or the normal price they were selling, and NNPCL denied it. Even when they started actually selling, their communications manager came out to say that he's not aware that that is happening, even when their filling stations, their outlets were selling at almost 900 naira per liter. Now, people are crying. The PDP has come out to say it's a recipe for trouble. Afenifere is saying the same thing, and Manufacturers Association is saying the same thing, and all experts are saying the same thing. But the presidency is saying that President Tinubu did not promise he will not raise the price of fuel. I don't know how you will respond to that.
Fuel saga is like a mafia. You know, nobody knows what's happening. And just like a mafia, nobody wants to associate with them. Even the president, who is the minister for petroleum, how can he say he doesn't know what is happening? This is not right. You know, the president on 29th of May 2023 said fuel subsidy is gone. And then we are now presented with a $6 billion bill, which they are saying is a shortfall. What does that mean? You know, if NNPC brings in petrol and the cost at which they have landed the petrol, which of course nobody knows, they never disclose it to anybody. That's why I say it's mafia-like type of arrangement. And then they are selling the petrol at a price that is lower than what they brought in. Who gave them approval to do that? How could NNPC put Nigeria into a debt of $6 billion without approval from the presidency? Without approval from the National Assembly, without approval from anybody? Is the presidency trying to say the NNPC on their own decided that if they run petrol at 1,000 naira, that they will sell it at 690 on their own, without consulting anybody? They did not consult the Minister for Petroleum. They did not consult the Minister of State for Petroleum. They did not consult with the Minister of Finance. Nobody. Only NNPC. How can that be possible? But if that is possible, then truly, the NNPC have become a god upon themselves, of which there has to be sanctions now. The president has to be showing anger that I, Mr. President, declare that fuel subsidy is gone. Then you, NNPC, without consulting me, went and started selling petrol at below the cost, accumulating debts of $6 billion. Then the management of NNPC should not be in office, even for one more day. But since we are not seeing that kind of anger coming from the presidency, we are not seeing such anger coming from the National Assembly, we are seeing no such anger coming from the Minister of Finance or from anybody, Minister of State for Petroleum, nobody is showing such anger. Come on. I think these people need to be more honest with Nigerians than what we're hearing now. And this is really sad.
Well,
Sad because nobody knows about the data. We don't. The Minister of Finance was on TV the other day saying he doesn't even know how many liters of petrol are consumed in Nigeria in a day. The same Minister of Finance say, oh no, that is the petrol is not going as far as Central Africa region. West African region is already a given that petrol is going there. And the NNPC is not telling us the landing cost. Then the same NNPC now say they are the only ones who will buy Dangote petrol. Look, where do these people want to take Nigerians to? It's so hard, it's difficult. Can they empathize with Nigeria just for once and try and have a sense of what people are going through? Workers have not even seen 70,000 naira minimum wage. In fact, as we speak, there are workers who are still on 18,000 naira minimum wage, because there are some states that did not even implement 30,000 minimum wage. How can those workers come to work? How can they feed their families? How can they buy food? Because the cost of petrol affects every facet of our lives. It affects the cost of food. It affects the cost of, because, you use fuel to manufacture things, to transport yourself about. It's terrible. This is not right. And I think the people who are in power, they really need to understand that this is not right. And when you push, my people have a saying that even if it's a goat, you push a goat too far, the goat will bite you. I think they have pushed Nigerians too far now.
yeah, well, but in a case where if Nigerians want to say something, you'll just hear one group coming up. I don't know when they register these groups, with one funny name, and start to say, we are not part of this, we support the government, we're doing this, we're doing that. The propaganda machinery is so terrible nowadays in Nigeria. You wouldn't even know which voice is true and which one is not. Because if people are coming out to say that we support government even when we are hungry, I don't know what they intend to achieve, except that maybe the same government is paying them to do that. And then if you're standing as a lone voice, you are labeled as someone who wants to overthrow the government. That's the first thing they say, that you want to overthrow the government, so they will not even consider what you're saying. How do we even begin to change this narrative that we're finding in Nigeria right now? It's terrible. Can we move to another paper right now? On the Guardian newspaper, we have this headline which says that Bill Gates warns of rising misery, says Nigeria spends less per capita on its people. But this is not the point of interest. The point of interest is on federal government reviews prisoners feeding allowance by 50%, raises budget to 45 billion naira. That's another thing that has come. So the federal government also knows maybe that even the economic hardship that we are facing outside has entered the prison. So they are raising the budget by 45 billion naira.
Before I talk about the prisoners' for food allowance, you rightly said that there will be some sort of anonymous groups that can come forward making all sorts of claims, which is usual. You see that in all societies, and that's what democracy is about. Democracy is that everybody should have their say, but it is about numbers. So I know in Nigeria today, if you put 10 Nigerians today together, 9 of them will say what is happening is not good. Perhaps it's that one lone voice. So let more Nigerians come forward with their voices. We have been taking this thing with utmost docility. You know, and like I tell people, it is the middle class, the educated middle class of any nation that is the conscience of that nation. Nigerian middle class are the ones that are not, they are not even talking, you know, so we need to come out. And look, it's not always going to the streets. There are many other avenues that we can let our voices heard. These days, social media provides us a platform to do that. You know, so we shouldn't care about those voices that come and say we are happy to be suffering. Even in the times of Jesus Christ, we have people like that who were supporting all sorts of evil. So let Nigeria just continue to fight this battle. Now, coming to prisoners' food, I think it's becoming the case now that Nigerians may even decide that let them just go to prison. Because if you are in prison, it's the government that is feeding you. And you are not paying transportation costs, you are not paying rent, you are not paying electricity bill, you are not paying all those things that just trouble your life. You are not even at risk of kidnappers or bandits. You know, you are inside the 4 walls of a prison. There are prison guards and even military guarding you. It's like you are in a presidential palace where they are feeding you, they are looking after all your needs. Perhaps that is what will be better for Nigerians now, given how difficult life outside the prison walls is. Otherwise, the budget to feed a prisoner per day, per meal, times 3 for 30 days is definitely more than 70,000, which is the minimum wage that government is offering.
At some point, the government came out and said it was about, was it 12,000 per day per prisoner? And it was so laughable for people who have had contact with prisons to see what goes on in the prison. You will just weep for Nigeria if you say a prisoner there is a 14,000 naira or 12,000 naira budget for a prisoner daily, and you find out what they eat. It's people that come from outside that give them brushes to brush their teeth, toothpaste to brush their teeth with, soap to bathe, and even sometimes food that they can eat. In fact, we saw one influencer in Nigeria who was just released from jail after 6 months, saying that while he was in jail, he fed over 2,500 people in that jail. So far, the authorities have not come out to say that is a lie, which means maybe it's a possibility that an inmate was the one that facilitated the feeding of 2,500 people, buying a cow and all that to make sure that the people fed well. And it's a terrible situation. But now they're increasing this. Where will it go? Will it go to the prisons, or will it go to some bank account somewhere that we do not know?
It will definitely be some bank account somewhere where we don't know. It's the same thing we're talking about Bill Gates. If he attempts to put his money in the Nigerian bureaucracy, he should forget about it. Because I've been to prison myself. I go to prison in December. Go have prison minutes to go see the prisoners and all of that. The conditions in the prisons are dire. You know, you can never believe that that's a place where they're spending 12,000 per prisoner. That means it's 360,000 a month per prisoner. There's absolutely nothing like that. There's no evidence to show anything like that. So that's Nigeria. That's probably bureaucracy for you.
But in your opinion, how will the economic situation affect this the wooing of the president going around the globe trying to woo people. The same Guardian is saying Tinubu woos Chinese investors, says Africa holds opportunities for growth. Do we really have these opportunities for growth, or even though we have them, are we even interested in this growth at all?
I mean, I always make this analogy. The analogy that you are a hotel owner and your hotel is unkempt. The rooms are totally unkempt. There's no food in the hotel. There's no light. There's no water. Security is porous and all that. And then you are busy going all over the place looking for guests to come into your hotel. Whereas even the guests who are already lost, they are packing out and going. It's just a fruitless exercise. Since we started the democratic journey, right from President Obasanjo to Yar'Adua, to Jonathan, to Buhari, to Tinubu now, they have always been going abroad that they are looking for investors. Have the investors come? How can the investors come when you're on 3,000 megawatts of electricity? Security is so porous. When they say they've gone to Zamfara, Sokoto, they've killed 150 people. The world is hearing that. You know, we live in an info age now. It's no longer like before where things can be happening in Nigeria and nobody knows about it. Now, immediately it happens, the entire world is hearing about that. And you want people to now bring their money, bring their staff and all of that to a place where people can be kidnapped and, you know, government agencies do nothing about it. So you have to pay ransom. And if you want to pay ransom, National Assembly is busy making a law to criminalize you, pay ransom to release your people so that they can jail you. Your man is in the kidnappers' den. You, who was trying to help get him out, is now in jail. Is that a place you want to come to where there's no rule of law? You know, the courts are manipulated, decisions are porous. You know, people cannot even express their minds because they will be arrested and jailed. You know, we're not running a democracy. Let's not forget about this. You know, sit back at home, sort yourself out. Nobody in Dubai goes around the world looking for investors. They've done their homework, and the world is going to Dubai. So there's nothing that's going to change. I mean, unfortunately, President Tinubu isn't doing anything different. So I don't expect him that he will get different results from his predecessors. Nothing is going to come. Nothing significant.
Okay, let's take a final one, a political one. On the Punch newspaper, PDP shifts National Working Committee meeting over Governor Wike's tension. We've seen what Wike has been doing. We've heard what he has been saying in this country, how he will put fire in every state, threatening the sitting governors of PDP in all over the country. He's threatening them that if they say anything about Rivers State or support a sitting governor of Rivers State, then he's going to put fire in every state. And PDP seems to be cowed about this. They don't want to even talk about it, even though they have come out to say that nobody is above the law. I heard another very laughable thing from a PDP chieftain saying that whoever is trying to destroy PDP, God will judge. Like, you know, did God write your constitution for you or something? I don't know why Wike is still walking free in Nigeria, even though his utterances to me are the real thing that you could call treason or attempted treason or a threat of treason.
Yeah, I mean, these are the kind of things we're talking about. You are abroad looking for investors, and the global headlines about your country is that a responsible person like a minister of the Federal Republic is speaking like an Agbero, you know, speaking with an uncouth language and saying, I'm going to put fires in certain states. And you want investors to bring their monies and their staff and their technology to those states when a responsible government official is saying, I'm going to put fires in those states. Putting fires in those states means putting fires to their investments. And nobody is calling him to order. The Inspector General of Police has not invited him to come and quiz him on what he meant by that. So this is why I say we're not a democracy. And let's not just be deceiving ourselves. I can go to the market now and I can sew the uniform of a major general and I'll wear it and I'll be looking like a major general, but I'm not a major general. I'm a bloody civilian. So we can be wearing the garment of a democracy, but we are not a democracy. And until we start being a democracy, I don't think there's going to be any full movement in this country. That's just what it is. We have to be a democracy.
Well, I hope we get to that point where we will not be complaining. Where you are right now, a lot of things that are happening to you and that are available to you are prayer points in Nigeria. If you were in Nigeria now, maybe by now the light would have gone off and you'll be struggling to go to charge put on your generator or something. Because we've had several guests, even on the show, that while they're talking, their light will just go off. And it's a terrible thing. We hope that we'll get to a point where we can clap for our leaders and say they are doing something. A point where they will come to campaign or in our villages and tell us what they are going to do, and we really see it and believe it as a policy statement that if they get into office, they are going to do, like what is happening in America now. Trump is promising a lot of things, and if he gets into office, he will focus on those things. Kamala Harris is also promising a lot of things, and if she gets into office, she's going to implement those things. In Nigeria, you just come and you sit in one place, PDP, APC, LP, all the parties, they sit in one place, use the same manifesto, change the language, and bring it to Nigerians. And when they get into office, they do what they like. And I don't know what time we can get to that. I don't know what we will start to change, because the buck, to me, lies on the table of the leaders. But the leaders are not doing well. What will the led do? So let me just, in summary, let's say what we have always been saying. The office of the citizen, what are we failing in? What better can we do to make sure that our Nigeria or our leaders sit up and accept their responsibilities and do what they're supposed to do?
You have just hit the nail on the head. When you were speaking, I was saying, wait, you will land, and I will tell you something. Where I'm sitting now, it's a small place. It's Langley. It's like a village, not too far from Vancouver. Everything is here. The difference between a small community like where I am now and a city, a metropolitan city like Vancouver, is the population. It has nothing to do with the facilities. So where I am, the electricity is 24/7, there's water, the roads are good, there's telephone, there's security, there's everything here in this small Langley as I'm sitting here. Everything people in Vancouver have, they have it here. So there's no way you will say, oh, the roads in Abuja are fine, then in Nyanya they are not fine. In Wagwarada, no. Everything in Vancouver is in this language. But now, let me say what I wanted to say. Do you see a situation where somebody steals something, like in a market, and Nigerians feel so angry about it, and they hold this person, they beat him up, most often they would visit jungle justice on him. And the same Nigerians are praising politicians who have stolen their money and are riding in big convoys and building big houses. That is where the problem is coming from. Nigerians must take Nigeria as their own personal property. And anybody stealing from Nigeria needs to be treated in the same anger with which we treat those petty thieves. That is the difference in Canada here. Canadians know that Canada belongs to them. Canada is their country. And they will not allow any leader to come and spoil Canada for them. So they put eyes on the leaders. They take Canada as their personal property. Nigerians are yet to get to that point. We are yet to get to that point. So in the market, we think that what the thief has stolen is our personal property. But the money in the government coffers that they are stealing, we don't take it as our personal property. That is why we don't care. We are rather evil, worshiping them for stealing that money. That is where the paradigm shift needs to come in. We have to take Nigeria and the treasury as our personal property and become intolerant of those who are mismanaging it.
Yeah, but when you are intolerant, you might end up in jail for treason. That you are calling for a change in governance. That means you are calling for the removal of a sitting president or governor or anything, and then they use big words and intimidate you and put you in jail, and then you cannot say anything anymore. Because as we speak, there are people in jail because of treason. And the treason is that they were part of End Bad Governance protests. Whether they were waving flags of other countries or not is insignificant as far as I'm concerned. But they are in prison. And it's only just now that NBA has said, you know what, whatever their case may be, we are going to support them and make sure, and I've given directive to all the state branches to make sure that anybody who is there in jail because of End Bad Governance, whatever the case may be, they should get defense from the NBA. But that is where we are. We hope that we'll get out of this conundrum one day. Would like to thank you, Mr. Agule, for coming on the program.
I was about to say, Nyamgo, that the journey to liberation is not a day's journey. If you know the number of South Africans that laid their lives in the apartheid movement, the number of South Africans that laid down their lives, even in the United States, which is on the southern border with Canada here, where I am, if you know the number of blacks that laid down their lives for the civil rights, you know, there must be a group of people that will lay down their lives for the generations to come to enjoy freedom. So this is just what it is. And that is why people like me, I'm talking here, but you will soon see me in Nigeria. I'm not going to stay here. In October, from October, when we're having these interviews, I'll be taking them in Nigeria. If they want, let them come for me. You know, we just have to be ready to sacrifice. If that sacrifice is not there, we can never be liberated, because these guys are not going to allow us to stroll in and walk away with freedom.
Well, thank you, Mr. Agule, for coming on the program. It's always a pleasure having you.
Thank you very much. And it's now 12 midnight here, so it's my good morning. So I'll tell you good morning.
Have a peaceful rest. Okay, we've been talking with Mr. Nick Agule, a public affairs analyst, on the show. We were reviewing the headlines on some of our national dailies. We will take a break now. When we return, we'll return with our first hot topic, which is fuel scarcity in Nigeria, rising costs, and widespread public frustration. Stay with us.
An African girl somewhere is sitting at home, accompanied by dreams that seem so far away. Africa is one of the continents with the highest out-of-school percentage in education, and girls are at an early disadvantage. The sub-Saharan Africa records about 18 million out-of-school girls. This gender gap extends to the tech space, with a projection of only a 33% global female workforce representation in tech firms for 2022. Let us help change the stories and numbers. Africa Agility's Project Train a Girl campaign is working to help train African girls in tech. You can donate as little as $2 or 2,000 naira to help a girl in tech get her heels in the door. Visit www.africaagility.rallyup.com/PTAG to donate.
I will take you through this amazingness today.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Increase the reach of your events or business services. To advertise on Plus TV Africa, please call 0906 000 5719 or 0909 040 8408 or send an email to marketing@plustvafrica.com. Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.
The pandemic opened the world to a new dispensation regarding work. How people work and the career paths they take differ from generation to generation. There are 5 generations present in the modern workplace, each with unique expectations and perspectives. A person's career path is described as the work they do and the roles they hold as they climb up the ladder. Before the millennium, career paths for many was simply linear, which could be a person working at the same organization and growing there till they retired, or a person working in the same role but changing jobs a couple of times. Security and staying power were the cornerstone of this career path. However, with modern technology, a person's career path can be as multifaceted and versatile as the individual wishes. Millennials now work multiple roles in their career trajectories, pursue numerous passions that are sometimes interwoven, and work at different roles in their journeys. Baby boomers and Generation X only considered a job good if it gave them the security to work there till they retire. But for millennials and Gen Z, the workplace has changed and so has the career structure. Millennials often change their career paths or juggle multiple interests simultaneously. Being able to move from one job to another might signal a person's employability and adaptability. Baby boomers tend to believe that working long hours is what defines success and value face-to-face interactions with co-workers. In contrast, millennials believe that innovation and flexibility are key ingredients for success at work. The shift in occupational structures, for example, the increasing gig economy, is leading to polarization in employment, wages, and inequalities. From remote work policies to virtual leadership, the pandemic changed how we work. The opportunity to telework increased for some, such as knowledge workers, but not for frontline workers. Among the benefits are an improved work-life balance for some, as well as changed attitudes to well-being. Teleworking can lead to a higher productivity and lower operating costs for companies. Work is increasingly flexible and decentralized. Working from home or out of a workspace is favored by many because of the flexibility that comes with it. Millennials and Gen Zs prefer flexible work schedules and part-time hours so that they can balance their work and life compared to older generations who prefer security.
Some people are social people. You know, when they go to the office, they have friends everywhere. Good morning. How was the football match? You know, you just with your colleagues and stuff like that. That social element at work, a lot of people need it. Me personally, I'm an extrovert, but I'm also high on the introverted side. I like going to parties, I like making friends, but I also like keeping to myself. So at work, I'm not the friendliest. I would smile, I would say hi, but I don't need to. So it depends on your personality and what you need. For me, work from home works a lot for me because I get to spend time with my family. I'm always in the house with my partner, and that really makes me happy.
People's Democratic Party, PDP, has condemned the increase in the pump price of fuel to over 1,000 naira per litre in various parts of the country, describing it as a brutal assault on the sensibility and well-being of Nigerians. Reacting to the increase by the party's National Publicity Secretary, Honorable Debo Ologunagba, PDP said that the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's led administration has plugged over 150 million Nigerians into below poverty line, noting that businesses are collapsing daily as the naira now exchanges for over 1,600 naira to a dollar, with over 34% inflation rate and over 40% unemployment rate, which are expected to rise further with the latest draconian increase in the price of fuel. Our guest this morning is Bola Bolawole. He's a veteran journalist and public affairs analyst. Good morning and welcome to the program, Mr. Bolawole.
Good morning, my brother. I'm happy to be here.
It's good to know that we survived up to this moment. It's already the 5th of September, 2024. But like the novel we read in the days before, 1 week, one trouble. That is what it seems in Nigeria right now. Right now, the fuel price is on average 1,000 naira per litre in Nigeria, a fuel producing or crude producing country like Nigeria, the giant of Africa. What is your comment? Let's forget about the fact that it's PDP that is crying out right now, but what do you say as an individual in Nigeria?
Thank you very much. You can see the way I'm dressed. I am coming in from the petrol station. We have to keep watch at the petrol station now. We do vigil now, not only in the church, we also do vigil at the petrol station. So you have to wear warm clothing to keep yourself warm, and you have to stay believing that they will bring fuel. It's not as if you are queuing to buy fuel, you are queuing to see whether there will be fuel, and that is how bad the situation is. And it is not only the PDP that is complaining. The PDP's complaint doesn't make any sense to me because they are part of the problems. They created part of this problem, so they cannot now stand up and begin to cry and begin to pretend that they are the saviors of the people. The problems that we're having in Nigeria today were part of it created by the PDP. Because all Nigerians are crying. All Nigerians are crying. The middle class has completely been wiped out, and there is no one who is not affected. The economy is collapsing right before our eyes. Businesses are closing up. Businesses are relocating from Nigeria. Nigerians, the jackpot syndrome has affected not only the youth, it has affected even elderly people who I don't know where we are going from here. The probationers are leaving, the doctors, nurses, they are leaving, engineers are leaving, even teachers are leaving. And what we have now is a carcass of Nigeria. So it is not only the PDP that is crying, the Nigerians generally are crying. It is not only the poor people that are affected, even the elites are affected. People like me, we are elite, we are affected. People like me, we are middle class, we are affected. People like me ought to be comfortable, we are no longer comfortable. Yesterday I went out, I was looking at my gauge as I began to see that my gauge had gotten very low up to the point of reserve. I began to panic, and this kind of thing can cause high blood pressure. This kind of thing can affect people's health. People can collapse. People spend 2 nights, 3 nights, 4 nights at the petrol stations waiting to see whether they will bring fuel. These things can affect people's health. People will die, and I don't think that this is the right thing for government to do. I don't think that government has done the right thing. But I want to look beyond that to see that what is the cause of this problem. This is not a problem that started last year, definitely not. It's a problem that started when this government came to power. This government may have accentuated it by some of the policies it has taken, but it has not created the problem. The problem has been there. And the thing for us to do now is not only to criticize government, but to sit down and say, what is the way out? I think this is the time we need bipartisanship. This is the time that the political parties should stop just criticizing to impress people. This is the time they should all come together and say, let us meet with the president. Let them ask the president, let us all sit down. This is a problem of all Nigerians. It is not your problem alone. Let all of us sit down, PDP, PC, Labour Party, everybody, let us sit down and say, what is the problem? What are you going through, Mr. President? Show us the statistics. What are the financials? What are your solutions? These solutions are not okay. Can't we do it like this? Can we do it like that? That is what I expect of statesmen at this point in time. Nigeria needs statesmen at this point in time. We do not need just critics, armchair critics. We do not just need opposition leaders. We need statesmen. So I want these political party leaders to rise up from the level of just critics to be statesmen. Nigerians need statesmen. And if this country is not going to collapse on the heads of all of us, we need statesmanship. That is what I will recommend to the PDP. That is what I will recommend to the Labour Party. That is what I will recommend to NLC. That is what I will recommend to ASU. That is what I will recommend to Nigerian Bar Association. That is what I will recommend to the traditional rulers. That is what I will recommend to opinion leaders. And that is what I am saying now, because I'm also an opinion molder. I'm saying that we need bipartisanship. We need statesmen at this point in time. And I recommend it to every one of us.
Yeah, but what opportunity, what platform will all the stakeholders and statesmen use to talk to the presidency or to talk to the government? Because I expected, or a lot of Nigerians expected, that after the End Bad Governance protest, it should have been an opportunity for government to call everybody to the table to say, hey, we acknowledge the fact that, yes, Nigerians are suffering. What can we do? Because we cannot do this on our own. Yet the government didn't do that, and they kept calling everybody opposition, calling everybody someone who is committing treason. They kept calling everybody someone who is trying to overthrow the government and all that. So at what point and what opportunity can Nigerians have to hold this conference, to bring everything to the table? Because we've not seen that opportunity that stakeholders can leverage and then talk to the president, except maybe making press releases here, saying something here and there, and like you are talking to us on television right now, people are making these comments, but the presidency doesn't seem to listen. So what is it that is going to give us that opportunity? What kind of platform can we talk to the government that we have not used?
Yeah, I think it's because you are not very close to government. That is why you think like that. If you are very close to government, you will know that these people who are speaking, talking on the pages of newspapers, they have access to the president. I am sure that Atiku Abubakar has access to the president. If he wants to call the president and talk with the president today, he will do so. I am sure that Peter Obi has access to the president by virtue of their position, by virtue of their stature. They have political stature. They have access. I am sure they have. The other time, the Patriots went to see the president, didn't they? And they were, somebody like Emeka Anyanwu led the Patriots, and there is no president in this country, I don't even think in the world, that will give the snub to Emeka Anyanwu, former Secretary General of the Commonwealth. And because of his pedigree, because of his stature, because of the role he played, because of the image he has had. So there are people in this country who can pick up their call and who can call the president. Look, Mr. President, we must sit down and talk. The other time there was a meeting of the Council of States. Some of these critics, former head of states, were critics boycotted it. They were not there. So why should you not be at such a meeting? That would have been at such a meeting where you would be able to express your views and say, look, this country is going haywire.
Doesn't it give you concern that maybe it's because they have been talking and nothing is happening? Because for someone who can just have the president on speed dial and talk to the president, not saying anything to the president and only coming to the pages of the paper, it's something that is unbelievable. Do you think they have not spoken to the president and they are being ignored or something? Because the former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, for instance, has been complaining. He is a a letter writer, as we used to call him before this present administration. He wrote to almost every president, telling them, outlining all of the things that he feels are not good enough. Do you think he has not, can you categorically say he has never spoken to President Tinubu, for instance, to say things are not going well, hey, can we do better? So now it seems as if you're putting it at the table of the people who are supposed to talk. Meanwhile, ministers and maybe senators are complaining also that the president is being shielded from being seen by people who want to complain, people who want to tell him what is really happening in the country. Don't you think that also could be a problem why he's not listening, or he's not hearing, or he's not even aware of what is happening in Nigeria?
My brother, if you understand how government functions in Nigeria, you will know that there is no government that has been there that people have not complained of Kabas shielding the president. Is it Buhari that people did not complain about Kabas shielding him? Is it Goodluck Jonathan that people did not complain of Kabas shielding him? Is it the same Obasanjo that people did not complain of Kabas? Is it Umaru Yar'Adua that people did not complain about Kaduna mafia shielding him? You see, every president, everyone, even at the level of governors, I have been close to governors, I have been kitchen cabinet members for some governors. I know that every government, even up to local government, they have Kabas. Even in your family, you have people you have some members of your family that are closer to you than the others. It is normal, it's all over the place. If you go to America, you'll find it there. If you go to the UK, you find it there. There are people who are closer. Even with our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, you had, out of the disciples, you had 3 that were closer to him than the others. You had another one that was closer than the other 3. That is not a problem. These people who are complaining, they also experience it. And now I want you to understand that there is a difference between somebody who has made himself your critic, who does not say anything right in what you do, who stand, you already know. So when such people begin to talk on radios and newspapers, the likelihood is that you will ignore them. But when people behave like statesmen, we have leaders in this country that don't talk, former presidents that don't talk. They don't talk openly. It does not mean that they don't talk privately. We may mention names. How many times have you had Babangida talking openly? How many times have you had Abdulsalam Abubakar talking openly? Does that mean that they are not discussing with the president? So it depends on the role you have decided to play, whether you have decided to play the role of a statesman and you will be accorded the respect of a statesman, or you have decided to play the role of a critic and you'll be taken as a critic. I want our former presidents, our leaders, to play the role of statesmen. That's what happens in the United States. In the United States, once you have been a president, you are given the honor of a president, and you comport yourself as a president, as a former president. In the US, they don't call a former president. It is President Clinton. It is President Obama. That is how it is, and that's how it's supposed to be in this country. We should not call Obasanjo former president. It should be President Obasanjo. It should be President Buhari. It should be President Jonathan. And they should comport themselves like that, so that when we have crises like this, they will be the ones that will come into the open and say, no, we must do something. You saw what happened in the US election. When immediately Obama spoke with Biden, immediately Clinton spoke with him that, no, you have to step down. He respected them. He stepped down. That is how a presidential system is supposed to work. Here, it doesn't work like that because we have not comported ourselves like that. Be that as it may, I'm not putting all the problems on the people who ought to restrain the president who are not doing so. The president himself also have to have listening ears. The president also have to be able to know what is happening to the people. If people are trying to reel you in, you have a duty to yourself to find a way to know what is happening at the grassroots. It is not that the president does not know what is happening at the grassroots. There is no way anybody can say that the president does not know that people are suffering. He has said it himself that he knows our pains, he feels our pains, he knows what we are going through, he has been promising this, has been promising that. But he needs to be told that his promises are not materializing. He needs to be told that the sovereign line is getting too much. He needs to be told that something has to give, something has to be done. And I think that it is the duty of all of us to impress this on him. As a writer, I keep impressing it in my write-ups. While encouraging him, I impress it on him that things are getting out of hands. You have to do something. In my own little corner, those of them that I know in government, I keep calling them. Are you aware this is happening? Are you aware that is happening? Are you aware this is happening? Are you telling this man? Are you telling this man? A lot of them, we are telling him. We are going to discuss it with him tonight. We discussed this with him yesterday. What are the problems that is not making him to do the things that the people want to do? I think that is where the statesmen should sit down with them and say, Mr. President, what is the problem? What is the problem? Let us see the statistics. Open the books. Let us see it. And let us all think together. The Bible says, let us reason together. This is the time for us to reason together. There's not the time for us to just stay in our corners and be happy that the government is losing popularity and be happy that now we can call on the military to come and take over. Now we can prepare for 2027 and get this president out of the way, and we can step into the shoes. No, this is not the way. It's the time to do that. We have done that in the past, and that is what we are suffering for now. This same government, these same people, this president and the others, they were the ones that didn't allow the PDP government of Jonathan to remove subsidy. When the problem was still manageable, they didn't. They said there was no subsidy. Buhari said there was no subsidy. His petroleum minister, the time Professor David West said that the petrol can sell for 1 naira or 2 naira, whatever he called it, there was no subsidy. So subsidy was a scam. But when they got there, they discovered that it was not a scam. This Tinubu also, they said there was no subsidy. He got there now, they discovered that it was not a scam. They said they were not paying subsidy. Now they have come out when it hooked them in the neck to say that actually we were paying subsidy, paying more subsidies than even the one that previous government were paying, that they were chastising those governments. So you discover that our problem is we have always played politics with critical issues. We have done it in the past, we are still doing it now, and it is not helping us. The earlier we stop playing politics, the better for us.
Well, I don't know, because from all you have said, it means that there are people who are talking, whether they are critics or the people who silently do the needful. And you mentioned some of the names here. It means that there are people talking. There are people who attended that meeting that you said some past presidents stayed away from, but there are people who attended it. They came out, gave a vote of confidence to the president, and said that he was trying his best and all that. So I don't know, what is it that we should do differently? Because if they have been talking, whether on the pages of paper, criticizing or not, or whether they are calling the president privately and talking to him, it doesn't seem to be working. Like you said, we are playing politics with everything. But when do we start to draw the line between politics and national interest? Because it doesn't seem to have any line at all in Nigeria.
Thank you very much. The question which you asked the people who came out, these are governors, National Council of State meetings made up of former presidents, made up of former chief of the Federation, and governors. These were people who came out and said they were passing a vote of confidence in the president. Now we should ask them, what made you pass this vote of confidence? Did the president bribe you? Or what were the facts that the president placed before you that made you to begin to pass a vote of no confidence? What did you see? It's important for us for them to tell us, because they must have been told some things. They must have been shown some statistics. They must have been told what the government is trying to do. And before they came out, or were they also playing politics? Did they tell what they discussed with the president? Was it different from what they came out to tell us? Are they just trying to prevent scaremongering? Let us not say things that will scare the people. Let us give the people confidence. Is that the reason why they came out to say they were passing a vote of confidence? If they said they were passing a vote of confidence, then we should ask them questions. Now that we have come to this pass, what made you to pass that vote of confidence? What did you see? What did you hear? What information were you given? They owe us an explanation, because you cannot at that meeting come out just a few months ago. You passed a vote of confidence, and the same person you have passed a vote of confidence now, the same government you have passed a vote of confidence now, is doing this. And Nigerians are wailing. Nigerians are not just crying now, they are wailing. And then we need to ask you, what made you pass that vote of confidence? Because today, if Nigerians are asked to vote, they will pass a vote of no confidence in the same president, in the same government. If Nigerians today are asked to vote, they will pass a vote of no confidence in the same people who passed a vote of confidence in this same president, in this same government. So we need to stop playing politics. I keep emphasizing it. We should stop playing politics. When we play politics with economic issues, we are going to hit the rock like we have done in Nigeria. We have always played politics, decisions that we ought to have taken, we have not taken them because of political considerations. Decisions that we ought to have allowed to hold, we have opposed decisions because of political considerations. Now we are suffering the consequences. It is time to stop playing politics. The president and his government should stop playing politics. This is not the time for them to say that we are APC, PDP is opposition, Labour Party is opposition. No, you need everyone now. And this is not the time for the opposition people to say that, we are happy because the government is losing popularity, so our chances of becoming president, of taking over in 2027 is brighter now. They should not think that way, because if they take over in 2027, they are going to confront this same problem. And that is the same thing that happened to APC. They demonized the PDP, they called Jonathan clueless, they called Jonathan incompetent, they called him corrupt, everything like that. They said there was no subsidy, there was no this. Now they have come, they have encountered the same problem. Now, in fact, the problem now is even worse than the problem that Jonathan was in. The problem that Tinubu is in now is worse than the problem that Buhari was in. So it is because of the politics that we have been playing. And for as long as you continue to play politics with economic issues, you cannot play politics with economic issues and get away with it. It is not possible. So I will say that the time for politics is over. The time for governance is now. The time for criticisms, that time is over. This is the time now for statesmanship. Let all those people who have believe in this country, let those people who have the interest of becoming popular arts now come out. Let them shed the toga of politicians. Let them wear the agbada of statesmen. And let us call this president. There are people who can call him to order. There are people who can tell him, look, there must be a meeting. We must discuss this issue. There are people who can call him, and then let them call him. And let them say, let us sit down and discuss this issue. This country is burning, and if it burns, all of us will be affected. It is not Tinubu alone that will be affected. It is not APC alone that will be affected. Everyone will be affected if there is any problem in this country. And we are seeing problems staring us in the face now. So everybody must stand up, and we must call this president to order and let him sit down and discuss with us and tell us what is happening. And let us provide solutions to this problem, solutions that everyone of us, we know that these are the solutions, and we know the role that each and every one of us will play in this solution. And then let us, everybody tell this president, you cannot be telling us that things are hard and you are living a life of profligacy. Yeah, and the senators are living a life of profligacy. Somebody is going home with 20-something million every month, and we are saying that there is problem in the land. We must talk to ourselves, and we must set standards. We cannot continue like this. We cannot continue with this profligacy in government while the people themselves are suffering. So I think this is the time for everybody to stand up and call the president to order. So if the NLC, the ASU, the NMA, the NBA, if everybody comes together and say, this is what we want a meeting, and we want to discuss this problem, I don't see a president that can stand against the will of the people. It's not possible. That's what we should do now, instead of crying and because they condemning on the page of newspaper. Let us be proactive. If the president does not listen, and we need all to go into this, let us all march to the street and let us see how many soldiers he will send to the street to come and kill us.
Well, we've just had an experience that was not palatable enough when Nigerians were trying to talk. Unfortunately, the people who passed the vote of confidence on the president were not given the mandate to go and lead us. We didn't send them on any errand now. In 2023, the person who was sent on an errand is the president who is sitting right now, Tinubu, and he should be the one that we will hold accountable. Whatever group, whatever person gives him a vote of confidence, if we are not satisfied, we should ask him, because he's the one holding our mandate. He's our servant at this moment. But another unfortunate thing is that these people passing the vote of confidence on Tinubu may not see 100% what people are experiencing here. So it brings us back to the office of the citizen that I've been asking on almost all the episodes of the show. The office of the citizen, how active are we and what else can we do? Because we've seen that when we want to go to the streets like you just suggested now, we just went to the streets from August 1 to 10th and we saw the outcome. All the people that were killed by the security people, we're not talking about it, but people are in jail right now as we talk for participating in End Bad Governance, and they are labeling them people who committed treason and all that. So what do we need to do as citizens of Nigeria to hold our people accountable, aside from just going to the street? Going to the street worked when the president knew that democracy meant that people could express themselves. That's why we had Occupy Nigeria, and things did not work. And the people who are at the helm of affairs now were calling for a change of government. They were even carrying a coffin of the sitting president, and the president did nothing about it. He allowed them to express themselves. Right now, anything you do in that regard will be labeled treasonable. So what else do we need to do to be proactive citizens who hold, or at least should hold, the power to decide who governs us and how we are being governed? Because that is democracy, the essence of democracy, by the way.
Yeah, thank you very much. You see, when we do some of these things, when we see some of these things, we should put them in their proper context. You see, the people who ought to talk are not talking. The people who ought to lead protests are not leading protests. So the people who are talking, who are criticizing now, where were they when we were protesting End Bad Governance? Where was Atiku? Was it in the was he in the protest? Where was Peter Obi? Was he in the protest? Where was former President Olusegun Obasanjo? Was he in the protest? The protest of the other people you are talking about, of the APC then, Buhari was in the protest. Who dare shoot at Buhari? Tinubu was in the protest. Who dare shoot at Tinubu? That is the problem now. Now the people who ought to come out to protest are not coming out. Let the Sultan of Sokoto come out and join the protest and see the soldier or the president that will say shoot at him. Let the Emir of Kano come out and let's see who will say shoot at him. Let Peter Obi come out to join the protest. Let Atiku come out to join the protest, like the Tinubu and the Abuka and the Buharis did. Let these religious leaders. So I was watching a video and somebody was appealing to Baba Adeboye, please, Baba, join us. Come and let Pastor Kadija Adeboye come out. Let Pastor Yedepo come out. Let all these people come out and say we are joining this, and let us see who we shoot at them. Let us see who we call them vagrants. Let us see who will not listen to them. That is the problem we have. The problem that we have now is that the people
they are stakeholders. They are stakeholders, but they are not the citizens. They are stakeholders, yes. They are elites, yes, but they are not the people. Now, if these people who should talk are not talking, I wonder what we should be doing. That's what I'm asking, because these people may not be talking because of some other things that we do not know. But you and I who are hungry, we need to express ourselves. How do we do that? That was the question I was asking. But maybe that was a question for another day that we need to discuss, because Nigeria's problems, we cannot finish discussing them in one day. But at this point, we have to wrap up, sir. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Okay, we've been talking with Mr. Bola Bolawole, a veteran journalist and public affairs analyst. We were looking at what is really happening, the hunger in the land and everything that Nigeria is facing right now, and if there are possible solutions. But we'll take a very short break and join our second guest to talk on a different topic as briefly as we can in the time that is left. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. We have like 10 minutes to the end of the show, or 8 minutes really. But we need to cover this. The United Nations has called on ministries, departments and agencies of government across the country to allocate 15% of its budget as part of measures to bridge gender equality across the country. The country representative of UN Women in Nigeria, Mrs. Beatrice Eyong, said the Secretary General's Executive Committee recommended creating a high-level task force on financing for gender equality to review and enhance UN budget for gender initiatives. She added that more than 60 countries in the world have commenced gender-responsive budgeting, which ensures equitable distribution of national wealth to bridge the gender gap. Our guest this morning is Betty Abba, Founder, Executive Director, See Hope Nigeria. Good morning and welcome to the program. Good morning, Betty. I can't hear you if you can hear me. We're talking about the fact that the UN has suggested 15% budget allocation to bridge Nigeria's gender gap. We would like to know what this gap is and what the implication of this suggestion will be in Nigeria. And we were going to be talking with Betty Abba, Founder, Executive Director, See Hope Nigeria. It seems we have a little bit of a connection problem at this moment. Betty, can you hear me? Well, it's unfortunate that Betty cannot join us. She was here, but something went wrong, and the same things we're talking about in Nigeria. It's probably the network or the light is off or something. But we do hope that we can shelve that conversation for another day and bring Betty on whenever it is possible, maybe tomorrow or another day. But at this point, we'd like to thank you for being there for us, and we hope that you'll rejoin us on the breakfast tomorrow and have breakfast with us tomorrow as we bring back the show from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. In the meantime, on behalf of the entire crew, thank you so much. My name is Nyamgul Agaji.
Sometimes when we see celebrities either on social media, television, or in person, we assume they have it all together, but we forget that they're also human. Well, here are some of the low points of some of your favorite celebrities.
Story. Once upon a time, there was a very young, agile, vivacious, spunky, unconventional Pikin. You have all come to know and love as Brother Derele, Shewere, and all of the above. But you see, getting to this very point in time has been a story of hurdles. I have crossed so many hurdles. I've broken down ceilings. I've crashed barriers. I've scaled mountains, figuratively speaking. Because you know what? For every single door that was shut on my face, you know what? I found another door. For every time I was put in a box, I jumped right out of that box. I am still in an industry where I have to constantly prove myself. Not the fact that I have to prove myself to myself, but I have to prove myself every time how resilient I can be and how much of an identity and strong force that I must be. So you know what? This is my celebrity story. My story is like $1 million question rolled into one.
My story for today, which hopefully will inspire you, is that when I was 17, my mom died. And at the time, my mom was the only one that had been encouraging me as far as acting was concerned. My dad was not for it at all. And on her deathbed, she told my father, let this girl do what she wants to do. Unfortunately, he was still against it. And I went to theater school, much to his disdain. But the thing is, even though I went through a lot of stuff because he refused to like sponsor me because I was doing what he didn't want me to do, I endeavored, I worked, you know, I had many jobs. I used to do all kinds of stuff. I used to braid hair. You know, there's a lot of stuff I do people don't know about just to make ends meet. Some days it would be between transport and food and all kinds of things. But I endeavored, I worked hard, I stuck to what I wanted to do, and finally I am here. And as far as I'm concerned, I've only just begun. But I am here, and I'm going to keep on pushing on until that Oscar sits on top of my table. So, you know, no matter what it is that you want to do, so far it's a good thing. Don't let anyone discourage you. There will always be a way around it if you just put your head down and put in the work.
What's up, everybody? They call me Road Boy. Now, let me share a brief and a small story for you guys, okay? I used to be a young boy who never had this experience of having parents coming to pick you in school or taking you to. I never had that experience of waiting for a driver to come and pick me in school. You know, that kind of lifestyle whereby even your parents will prepare breakfast for you or lunch for you to take in school. It was all about survivors, okay? But today, I want to tell you guys something. Maybe my parents took it that way for me because they never had, but I promised myself when I was young, if I ever made money, my children are not going to go through that. I'll provide everything for my kids, transportation, security, whatever, okay? So let me tell you, so whatever you're going through in life today, make sure you keep your head up because whatever you're experiencing, it will give you that power, that strength, not to allow your kids to go through that. Road Boy says so. Bless her.
Before Jennifer's Diary, I would go for, to be honest, I did not think I was going to be an actor. I just thought I was going to sing. How I got into acting, one particular day, I went to church for rehearsals, choir rehearsal, and then I got there early. My friend called that she had written my name in some audition. I was like, audition, ads free, me? I know they do. So she was like, come through, they're waiting. So because rehearsals had not started and the place wasn't so far from where I was, so I was like, okay, I'll just go and see what's up. Thereafter, I started going for auditions and auditions and auditions. Some people will say really nasty stuff to you. Instead of them to just say, no, go. They will yab you. They will make you not believe in yourself. You just feel like giving up. So I just chilled. And then one particular time, I got a BC, 1,000 Days of Blackberry. My friend sent me an audition BC. It was for Jennifer's Diary. So I said, guy, I know they go. All these things, they don't already get people where they want to put there. So I'm not going to go. So I was like, go. My mom told me to go. My dad told me to go, the amazing man, and my friend. So I didn't even know what to wear. So I was discouraged, like, nah, I'm not going to go. But my friend, thankfully, she works for Genevieve at the time. By the way, I love. I cannot explain the love I have for Genevieve. The place was crowded and I don't like crowd. So I went to hide in the restroom as always. That's what I always do. So I was there till like 8 p.m. For real. I called my mom. Mom, I'm leaving. She said, no, too bad it's audition. So I stayed there. 9 p.m. I auditioned. In my head, I was like, there's no way they won't have found people they need. A couple of weeks after, they called me for the second audition. We did the third audition. We did the final reading. We're quite a number of people reading for Toyosi. At the end of the day, as God would have it, I got the role for Jennifer's Diary to play Toyosi. I did not have any idea that the character was going to have so much continuity. I don't even know. I didn't know that I was going to be in several seasons. So, yeah, and that's how I found myself in Jennifer's Diary series.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the barbing, I pay my rent. On the barbing, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
Hello, and participated in the National Economic Council NEC meeting at the Presidential Villa on Wednesday. The Vice President Kashim Shettima presided over the meeting, where health and nutrition issues were discussed extensively. Present at the meeting were Governors Babagana Zulum of Borno State, Bala Mohammed of Bauchi, Abdullahi Sule Nasarawa State, Doye Diri Bayelsa, Francis Nwifuru Ebonyi, Lawan Dauda Zamfara State, among others. Also in attendance were deputy governors representing some state commissioners. The meeting was expected to have a holistic review of the nation's economic policy and the recent fuel price increase. States affected by the recent flood disasters across the country have received the sum of 3 billion naira from the federal government, meant to cushion the effects of the sufferings of their citizens. This was disclosed on Wednesday at the National Economic Council meeting held at the State House in Abuja. Briefing State House correspondents shortly after the meeting, Governor Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State said some states in the north were worst hit by the flood, with lives lost and properties destroyed. Governor Bala said NEC also directed that a collaborative effort be coordinated by the Federal Ministry of Agriculture put in place to ensure a holistic approach to address the flood disasters in the country. Also briefing State House correspondents, Governor Abdullahi Sule of Nasarawa State said the NEC Committee on Flood has been reconstituted, with the Vice President now serving as chairman. Members of the committee are Governor Usman Ododo of Kogi State, Governor Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State, Governor Umar Namadi of Jigawa State, Governor Sheyi Makinde of Oyo State, Governor Francis Nwifuru of Ebonyi State, and Governor Doyo Diri of Bayelsa State. Other members are Ministers of State for Water Resources, Governors of Bauchi, Jigawa, Bayelsa States, as well as representatives of some government agencies.
Support from the federal government in terms of releasing 3 billion as a small measure to ensure that at least we provide palliation for the flood.
Monday will be the deadline for all the states of the Federation to submit a detail of damages, including farms, schools, bridges that have been affected by the last flood.
There are strong indications that state police may soon come on stream nationwide, as the National Economic Council, NEC, deliberated on it extensively on Wednesday at the Presidential Villa. Vice President Kashim Shettima, who chaired the deliberations at the NEC, has, however, mandated states which are yet to submit their input to do so on or before the 9th of September. Recall that there had been clamor for the creation of state policing to mitigate the impact of insecurity in almost all regions of the country. While few states have begun the implementation, a number of states have been indifferent regarding the recommendation. No fewer than 7 persons have been confirmed dead and some others injured in what is described as a resurgence of terror attacks in Bokos local government area of Plateau State. Confirming the incident on Wednesday, a special advisor on security to the governor, Caleb Mutfwang, Brigadier General Gakji Shipi, retired, stated that the attack occurred after a long while with relative peace recorded in the affected areas. Also, the Bokkos Cultural Development Council BCDC Vanguard confirmed the attack in a statement on Wednesday. Chairman of the group, Farmasum Fudang, expressed sadness on the resurgence of deadly attacks by terrorists targeting ethnic minorities in the local government area despite Nigeria military peace agreements. Former President Muhammadu Buhari has decried the recent terrorist attack on Yobe State that led to the loss of several lives. In a Wednesday statement by his media aide Garba Shehu, the former president said the latest incident was a dreadful reminder that communities supported by government have more work to do in curbing the menace of terrorists. Shehu said in a message to the spokesman for the Yobe State Police Command, Dungus Abdul Karim, told the news agency of Nigeria in Damaturu on Monday that they are yet to ascertain the number of lives lost in the incident, which occurred at about 4 p.m. on Sunday in the remote village. It said the gunmen also dropped some flyers with Arabic inscriptions. The Nigerian Army says the current security challenges confronting the nation's territory required innovative skills, artificial intelligence approaches to surmount it. The commander of the Nigerian Army Infantry Corps, Major General Olufemi Oluyede, stated this at the 2024 Nigerian Army Heritage and Future Centers Leadership Training Week in Kaduna State, Northwest Nigeria. Plus TV correspondent Habila Dorofai filed the report that leadership training is designed to equip junior commanders with basic skills and mindset to navigate complex and evolving environments. The training theme, Effective Commander and Leadership, Imperatives of Success in Future Battle Space in Joint Environments, emphasized the need for courage and audacity for junior officers in confronting adversaries. The special guest of honor, Major General Olufemi Oluyede, underscored the increasing complexity of the contemporary battle space driven by technological advancements and the involvement of non-state actors using unconventional methods. He emphasized that junior leaders must understand the importance of cognitive domain and be prepared to tackle evolving challenges. The Director General of Nigerian Army Heritage and Future Center, Major General Obinna Ajunna, highlighted the role of the center to preserve the nation's heritage from internal and external security threats.
Contemporary battle space has become more complex, primarily because of the increased importance of the cognitive domain, a direct result of the informative age. The timing of the seminar is apt, as the Nigerian military, in an unprecedented state, is involved in internal security operations across the 6 geopolitical zones of the country. These emerging threats pose significant challenges to junior leadership, thus pushing the armed forces of Nigeria into unfamiliar situation that requires novel skills and approaches. These, among other situations, demand that junior leadership must be circumspect, adaptive, and responsive. This is in line with the Chief of Army Staff Command philosophy, which is to transform the Nigerian Army into a well-trained, equipped, and highly motivated force towards achieving our constitutional responsibilities within a joint environment.
They added that the Army is committed to adopting artificial intelligence skills and tackle insurgency, banditry, bedeviling the country.
Responsibility at the center. Good plans for the entrenchment and preservation of Nigerian heritage, provide strategic input for future plans and continuous modernization of the Nigerian Army, and analyze the impact of global, regional, transnational, and national security issues on the Nigerian Army. Seminar will seek to familiarize the Nigerian military junior leaders and commanders to today's security environment and their roles in mitigating them, as well as drawing their attention to possible future challenges and ways in which they will be able to put together technology and their command responsibility in resolving them. The center is expected to act as loyal opposition to the Nigerian Army, by constantly pointing out inconsistencies and flaws within the system, develop partnership between Nigerian Army sister services.
The training is especially going to emphasize the importance of technology and the fact that the battle space is expanding, where there will be no borders, and they need to, meet up with that within that space, especially to leverage, artificial intelligence and be prepared for that future battle space. It's very complex, ambiguous, and it's, laced with technology. So the essence of this training is to place the officers, in a position to anticipate what to expect in future and what will be expected of them, to be able to cope up, within that space.
The training targets junior leaders from various Nigerian Army units, recognizing that they are often the first to respond in challenging situations. A faction of the National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS, has dismissed an announcement that the group is planning a massive shutdown. The student body urged security agencies to act decisively in apprehending any individual or group attempting to use the name of NANS to incite unrest or disrupt the peace of the nation. Commercial tricycle operators known as Keke riders in the Warri and Eferun metropolis of Delta State, along with some aggrieved women and youths, are lamenting the economic hardship caused by the unbearable hike of the commodity, or the scarcity rather, of the commodity. Additionally, our correspondent noted that most of the filling stations along the Warri-Sapele Road were closed to motorists on Wednesday morning, while the few that were open for business sold petrol at above 1,000 naira per litre. Assured that as soon as civil servants start receiving the new minimum wage, as allowance will